Good afternoon from Utah here. My name is Norm, for those of you who don't know me. And per Ed's request, I'm going to give you a little education on the Cush Cores. My take on them, how they've benefited my riding style and helped me be a better rider, as well as installation and taking them out of your bike. So I've very crudely drawn some cartoons here. So just to give you a little bit of background, Cush Core was designed as a wheel suspension. And what they stumbled onto, in my opinion, is something that's far better than any kind of dampening that it provides, and that is lateral wall rigidity and stiffness, especially when you're running your tires at a low PSI. I normally run a set of tires on my carbon wheels at 28 and 25. 28 in the back, 25 in the front. A good friend of mine, Logan, pushed me into using these Cush Cores, and what it's done for me is it's allowed me to run my front tire at about 20 and my rear tire at about 24. But what's great is I don't get any lateral movement in my tire, or that rolling sensation you get when you decrease your tire pressure quite a bit. So I've given you guys an example of, this is the wheel channel on your wheel, whether it's carbon or aluminum, it's the same. You've got your sidewall, which is straight these days. Most are all straight, very few are hooked. But you've got this angled portion and then this flat little channel. And the Cush Core, it's got this little flat bottom side that nestles in your channel, and then it's got these wedges. You know, the diameter on the sides here is greater than the base by a lot. And what happens is, this is a tire that has been set on a wheel with no Cush Core. And you notice that the beads of the tires, when you put your tire on, and this, I need to illustrate this because this is what will kill you installing the Cush Core. The beads of your tires, for your wheel to allow the tire to go on, they need to sit right in the middle of that channel. And I'll demonstrate that later, but as you put pressure in your tire, the bead is forced out and up that slope. And that's what gives you the tension on the rubber to stay hooked up on your wheel. And that's how you set your bead. Now, introduce a Cush Core to this, and I don't know if you can see that, but the Cush Core right here, when you mount that to your wheel and you set the bead on your tire, do you notice how the bigger portion up top is sitting about 2/3 into your tire? Well, what that does is, as you run lower tire pressure, that wedge gives your sidewall much more lateral stability. It also protects your wheel from rock strikes or running at that low PSI. So, with that being explained, this is my Cush Core installation kit. I run a multi-tool, Allen wrench set, a valve stem remover, 2 tire levers, sealant of choice, I always like to wear rubber gloves, and the necessities, a nice cold Diet Coke, a mango, and some chill music. Do you see these little hexes? A line right there, and a line right there, and a line right there. You ever watch like a drag car and they punch the gas and you see those tires kind of move in slow motion? That is in essence what's happening to that rubber. The pressures are low enough that the flex is in line with the tire and not side to side with the tire. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this tire off and break it down, take my old tire off, take my Cush Core off, and then I will walk you through how I put it back on. Okay, so we've got the tire pressure out, and I don't know if you can see, but I'm gonna illustrate. Right here is where I can feel the Cush Core. So you get that much support up the sidewall of your tire. And something that not a lot of people realize too is at the lower tire pressures, your tire squats, you get more traction, more of a footprint. It makes your tread more flat instead of that ogive rounded shape. So this is where it's key to start taking off your Cush Core, all right? What you notice is that Cush Core, and I'll show it after I take the tire off. If you take your tire, you'll watch, you can see that. See? Now watch what happens. Okay, what I want you to notice is right down inside there, that is your bead. That's the bead of your tire, and it's down in the channel now. Okay, I've got the Cush Core pulled all the way to the side, and what I'll do is I just go around the entire tire just like that, setting that bead right down in the middle of that channel. Okay, so now that you have the center beads of your tire in that channel, you just simply lop one side over and run your tire off. Now, this is pretty easy, but sometimes people have a hard time with this. What's important is that this front corner right here, you peel that on the other side of the Cush Core. Now what you need to notice is that if you let this line be long instead of short, what I mean by short is, it's great that this is off the Cush Core. What you need to do is you need to guide it. So as this pops off, you make this line steeper. You just rotate it just like that. When this line becomes longer, it's when you can't pull that tire off, and you end up having to cut it off. Scott. There you go. Boom. The goods. This will help clean everything off. While I've got my wheel apart, I like to clean the channel out. Anytime there's a leak, this sealant really does plug it up, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Can you see my stem? See all that booger shiz? Let me make quick work of that with a little denatured alcohol. I use this time as well as to check my sealant tape. Make sure that it's all staying together and not separating and coming apart and giving me some issues down the road. There's nothing like chasing a slow leak and not knowing where it came from. She is ready to go. So I'll grab the Cush Core into my new tire and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and this is the infamous Cush Core. As you can see, it's got that straight channel. It goes right down in your tire. And then I don't know if you can see, but it swells out pretty good on the edge. So you just set it on the top, you set that channel down in, and then you just go down each side, flip it over. You just pop it on just like that. When you put the new ones in, they're long. They're not circular like this has been sitting on my wheel. So set them in the sun, put them inside your car, and if they can warm up, they are just like super easy to put on. Just a little helpful tip to get that good stretch on your wheel, okay? So now that we've got this on, you can see how that edge sticks out past your wheel, right? So that's just gonna give your tire more support. So I take my new rubber, and I always remember that all the information, EXO, I run Maxxis stuff, but then tire, EXO, all the information stuff goes on the cassette side. All right? I like to split my X's with the valve stem. Now this is gonna be the reverse way that we put that wheel in, okay? And this is where it gets a little difficult. Do you notice how the Cush Core is sitting in the bottom of the tire now? This is a part of the installation that will make you either want to kill somebody or make you happy. I want you to notice, see that edge right there, here? This side is not the hard part. It's this side right here that's the hard part. You pull this edge up just like this, and then this edge follows. Does that make sense? So again, you run this inside here, just like that. See how I'm pulling on this inside edge? And then you just kind of feed it with the other side. But that's the one that's gonna cause you the most problems in trying to feed your Cush Core onto your wheel. So you keep that edge going, and you keep the other edge going, and lead with this inside versus the back, and see how it just pops right on. There's a little segment of time where the circumference of the bead is just too small. So you remember, focus on that bead that's following and feed it through to the other side. So now that we have that on, this is gonna make or break putting your Cush Core on. You're gonna wanna slide that Cush Core over. And what I mean by slide is, I'll pull this off real quick. See how this thing moves? Like this. Grab that bead, pull the Cush Core over, set the bead down into the channel, and then rotate. Bead into the channel. All right, now what I'll do one more time is place that bead in the middle of the channel. Now, you got to be super careful in this stage, because you can absolutely flex and stretch out your bead. So what I like to do is I just like to do a couple little snugs, and what that does is that really sucks that bead down into the middle of the channel on the rest of the tire. Okay, now I want you to see this. I'm not ramming, camming this over. There you go. See how that thing looks all crooked? Well, let me show you how easy this goes in and pumps up. Now, well, the summertime is coming, and it's about to slow down. You know, a lot of people have a hard time setting tires on a bike, right? I want to show you how easy this is. One-handed. And that, my friends, is how you see the Cush Core. They've changed my riding style. I'm so much more confident going into corners and berm and stuff, and they're pretty cool. I run such a low tire pressure that it's turned the hard, bumpy, chattery stuff that I couldn't suck up in my suspension to give me like a carpet ride. So anyway, hope this helps.